Hi guys, my name is Tommy. Welcome back to Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit. Today, we're going to take a bit of a left turn with this playlist. So far, we've covered a lot of melee characters and how to build them. I think it's time we switch over to the spellcasters. Now, spellcasting is such a broad, far-ranging topic, it's really hard to say who is the best spellcaster, who will do the most damage with a spell, that kind of thing. So instead of doing that, we're going to go through every spell list for every class, from cantrips, orisons, knacks, all the way up to 4th, 6th, or 9th level spells, depending on who we're talking about here. We're going to discuss from each level the best spell a particular class can take. We'll be starting with the clerics and oracles today. Now, before we go too deep here, I want to make myself abundantly clear. This video is not how to get the most mileage out of your cure spells or how to most effectively raise the dead. Yes, I agree that parties with healers will get a little more mileage through the dungeon. They won't need to spend money on potions. They can go farther before resting, things of that nature. I also will say it until I am blue in the face. I think clerics are wasted if you just, oh, you're the cleric? Okay, you learn this cure spell, this restoration spell, and go. It's not as fun as some of the other stuff they can get. And I really, really hate seeing parties, both as the guy playing the cleric and as everybody in the party around the cleric, just kind of shunt him into that role when he can do so much else. Let's start this video off with our orisons, shall we? Now, for a cleric, we make a special caveat for players who are going to be able to use the magical lineage trait pre-errata. To quote the trait from Ultimate Campaign, magical lineage says we pick one spell when we choose the trait. When we apply meta magic feats to this spell that add at least one level to the spell, treat its actual level as one level lower for determining the spell's final adjustment. Now, this has been errata to say this. It used to say, when we apply a meta magic feat, we treat the spell as one level lower. Ergo, we would take a level 1 spell on any class, slap a 0 level meta magic feat, intensify spell being the popular one. We take a level 1 spell, it becomes a level 0 spell. It becomes something that we can 4 times a day and we're out of it, to swift action at will. If your GM is running pre-erratas, I strongly advise you take that thing I said about healing with clerics, kick it out the window, take magical lineage, and choose cure light wounds. You'll have heals on swift actions at will forever and ever and ever. If we aren't playing with magical lineage, then the orison that becomes the most important for us at level 0, in this one's humble opinion, purify food and drink. A lot of people will read this and they'll think, oh, I can cast this on my food or my ale before I eat to make sure I'm not poisoned. That's not what we're here for. Purify food and drink is one of my favorite ways to circumvent a puzzle. If there's water that's too murky for you to see through, yeah, it'll take some actions, but we can cast Purify food and drink on said murky water, making it pure and suitable for drinking, ergo, you can see through it. You'd be really surprised how many times you can cheat a puzzle with something as simple as this. Oh, also, yeah, you can't be poisoned, and if you're playing a game where your GM's tracking food consumption, you don't have to worry about eating something that's going to make your tummy sick. Clerics also get the light cantrip. We're not bringing it up here because everyone gets it, ergo it's a little less special for the cleric and oracle. Also, if you're in a party with people with dark vision, you don't need it nearly as much. For our level 1 spell, we're going to choose Clarion Call. Things like Cause Fear are a very close second. However, I'm really not a fan of any spell that has a max number of hit dice because eventually we're going to outgrow it. We choose this spell, yeah, it's going to be good at the beginning, but towards the end of the game, we're going to find ourselves retraining it or just having a dead spell slot. And that's not what these videos are about. Clarion Call says, the affected creature gains the ability to create a sound like the blast of a mighty horn or trumpet simply by mimicking the action of sounding one. Secondly, the subject can speak in a booming voice that carries easily over great distances. Why is this a good thing? You never know when you're going to need to scare off something or call something to you in any setting. For example, I was jamming a Star Wars game not too long ago, and my Ithorian decides he wants to call a Rancor. Of course, Star Wars is not Pathfinder, he cannot cast this, but with enough checks and stuff, I let him do it. If we need to do this in Pathfinder, Clarion Call can get us there. If we get in a lot of trouble and we're away from our allies, if we get in a lot of trouble and we're away from our allied NPCs, something as easy as this can call the reinforcements in while you guys hold out. Is this spell particularly fancy or flashy? No, not particularly, but you will get mileage out of this at every point through the game from level 1 to level 20. For our level 2 spell, we're taking Hold Person. A lot of people get it. We're looking at anti-paladins, bards, blood ragers, clerics, inquisitors, shamans, sorcerers, wizards, and witches, and the spell is tried and true every time. The subject of the spell becomes paralyzed and freezes in place. It can't take any actions and gets a save every round to try to break this. Cast this on a winged creature, they fall. Cast it on a swimming creature, they may drown. Cast this on anybody else, and the rest of the party is ready to coup de grace him. Spellcasters, especially clerics, who don't get a lot of mileage damage-wise out of most of their spells, gotta realize that if we set up the kills, it's still our kill. So we Hold Person the bad guy can't move, the party melee guy runs up, coup de grace, our kill, as far as I'm concerned. Our level 3 spell is probably one of my favorite spells of all time, the one and only Knapsack. When you cast this spell, 2 hours of uninterrupted rest becomes the same as 8 for you. That means 8 hours of sleep counts as 4 days for natural healing, saving throws, things like that. A lot of times when you're in really desperate situations and you're thinking you just need to rest, Knapsack can compound that. An 8-hour rest turning into 4 days means our barbarian with a d12 hit dice and say an 18 con for a total of 16 hit points per level gets 16 times 4 hit points for the amount of time he would get the normal 16, oftentimes just healing him outright. The same is true if you have someone in the party suffering from a disease you can't cure. 4 days of rest means 4 fortitude saves, means 4 chances to get that natural 20 and get up and move it again. Of course, we can only cast this once per week, but that's still a pretty solid bomb in my opinion. We should take it. For level 4, we're taking a spell that a lot of times we associate with druids, Control Water. When we cast this spell, we can lower the water, thus perhaps getting into a cave with a party that can't swim so well, or causing some giant fish monster to flop around and die a bunch from lack of the water he needs to survive. Or we can raise the water to make sure our giant fish monsters have all the water they need to survive, or to flood our enemies, send them down the river, kill them all. You ever seen the Fellowship of the Ring? Of course you have. You play Pathfinder and stuff. That scene where the ring wraiths are crossing the river, Arwen calls the river into them, essentially control water. You see how it works there? Works pretty much the same here. Don't miss it. For 5th level, we're looking at Wall of Stone. This is one of the first spells you pick up that makes something from nothing. Once you cast this, the wall is there. They have to cut through it, and granted, it's hardness 8 and 15 hit points per inch. A lot of things aren't going to have a lot of problem with that, or are just going to teleport through it. However, we can still use this as a quick, I'm going to throw this up while the party runs, or, oh, we're ambushed, throw this up. Though at higher levels, yes, things can teleport. Wall of Stone can be cast as a held action, so we wait till they teleport and then cast the Wall of Stone reflexively. It's still super solid. We can also use this to cross gaps. We can use this to climb walls, cast Wall of Stone up, and rise up we go. And we can use this in the grander scale to build things like walls for a small part of a city, or to surround a caravan that's under attack. The uses of this spell are limited pretty much just to your imagination. For level 6, I like the spell Bloodsworn Retribution. When you cast it, we cut ourselves and we lose an amount of hit points up to 25. Probably in most cases, we're going to choose to lose all 25 points. Whilst doing so, we swear an oath of retribution. After doing this, when we perform an attack, save, or check that is directly related to this oath, we gain a morale bonus equal to the amount of damage we took divided by 5. This is a free +5 morale bonus on our attacks, saves, and checks. Don't have a bard in the party? It's alright, just take a Bloodsworn Retribution, you'll get that +5. Our level 7 spell is a little more complicated. I really like Blasphemy, Dictum, Holy Word, Word of Chaos, but they are only as good as the things we're fighting, both in terms of alignment and in terms of hit dice. Now we're on the other end at the high level spells, we need the low guys to be able to just wreck them with these spells. Somebody with equal hit dice, we might blind him if we cast Holy Word, but we want to do a lot more at this point. So, our level 7 spell that we're choosing is Control Weather. Like Control Water, the applications for this spell are limited almost entirely to your imagination and whatever the situation calls for. If we know in 20 minutes we're going to need anything from frigid cold weather to a tornado to torrential rain to hurricane force winds or a sleet storm or fog, whatever you want, we've got it. Yeah, we have to be outside to use this, but by the time we're reaching level 7 spells, we can probably organize this or at least find some way to knock a hole in the wall in whatever dungeon we're in so the sleet can seep through, or the tornado, which will probably tear up the building we're in anyway, let's be real, can grab the bad guy and throw him off into oblivion. Out of combat, if we run into a village that's suffering a drought, or if we run into a place that's been cursed to be unnaturally cold or unnaturally warm, we can fix it right here. Level 8 is where the Cleric starts getting things like Earthquake, Firestorm, things that start doing a lot of damage like the wizards do, but we're going to choose the spell 9 Lives. Mostly because Earthquake's not going to hurt something that's flying at level 16, that option is certainly there, and Firestorm does fire damage, which oftentimes we're going to see a lot of things have resistance to, so when we have that reflex save for half and we roll bad, half damage on bad rolls can often be very inconsequential, and it's not what we're looking for. Now, for most of this video, we haven't really been thinking about the rest of the party like your average Cleric. We can cast this on them, but we're taking it for us. When we cast this, we get 6 abilities that we can use up to 9 times for the next hour per level of us when we cast it. These abilities include the ability to re-roll a failed saving throw, negate a crit or sneak attack like the fortification enchantment. We can heal for 3d6 if we're reduced to 0 or fewer hit points. We can instantly end the blinded, confused, cowering, dazed, dazzled, entangled, exhausted, fatigued, frightened, nauseated, panicked, shaken, sickened, or staggered conditions. We can automatically escape a grapple as if we had freedom of movement on us. And if we get tripped by something, this one probably won't happen much at high levels when things aren't tripping you, they're just, killing you utterly, automatically stand up. Options are a really, really strong thing. Options at an immediate action, even better. Now for our 9th level spell, we could talk about Miracle. Miracle is obviously like Wish, one of the most powerful spells in the game. However, I feel like I'd be taking the easy way out if I did that. So for our level 9 spell, we're going to be talking about Overwhelming Presence. We cast this on 1 creature per level, no 2 of which can be more than 30 feet apart. If they fail, they fall to the ground and prostrate themselves before your might, believing they're bowing to a divine presence. The most important thing about this is that all of these guys are considered helpless for the duration. They can attempt a new saving throw each round. If they get out of it early before the party can, with Hold Person, run through and start coup de grace-ing everybody, they take 1d6 wisdom drain and they're staggered for 1d4 rounds, meaning they get a move action or a standard action, but not both. So not only is their will save down by at most 3, making it all the more easier to just Overwhelming Presence them again, they're slowed down for up to 4 turns. Even if we come off bad, even if we only have them for a round, that's still reducing their action economy, making the party's action economy go up. Might as well be our kill when the Barbarian chews through him, or the 2-weapon fighter guy gets more actions than the other 2-weapon fighter guy and kills him first. Now, I know there's a lot of important spells I'm jumping over here, and I'm not saying that everything from Cure Light Wounds all the way up to Mass Heal are just unimportant spells. You should take them. You will have more than 1 spell slot. They are still important. However, if you are the Cleric, if you are the Oracle in Pathfinder, do not let a player push you into the heal spot unless that's where you want to be. Yes, it's a big help, especially heal, which can bring people back up and remove conditions just on the spot, but a lot of these spells can have much greater effect on the battlefield, and I feel that's what the spellcaster needs to be doing. Especially when we talk about a Cleric who doesn't have Fireball, who doesn't have Call Lightning, these spells that throw d6 across your table. We're looking at a battlefield control type build here. The spells might not on paper seem super effective, but with a little bit of imagination and creative placement, they can turn the tide of any battlefield just as effectively as a well-placed great axe to the bad guy's head. So did I miss any important spells? If I did, throw them in the comments below and I'm more than happy to discuss their utility with you. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Next optimization video's out next Wednesday.